Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you Shoutcast and Game 2 in a series between Socke and Morrow. This Game 2 here on Shakuras Plateau. So Socke spawning here as the red Protoss player, quickly moving down, and it's looking like he's going to do a front door expansion here, trying to get a gateway and maybe or do a forge fast expansion in order to be able to mine off of these 15 mineral patches. Back over here, we now see Morrow moving out with this Overlord. Overlord moves relatively slowly, but it is an early flying unit and will quickly be able to scout out Socke. So Socke quickly will be revealed. However, Morrow also will be revealed, as well as in comes a probe. So that probe going to walk up that ramp, figure out exactly what Morrow is doing, knowing that Morrow is not doing any fast expansion attempt just quite yet. It looks like, yes, he is going for a 14 extractor, probably followed by a 13 spawning pool, meaning that he will be able to get metabolic boost relatively early. But because we are getting a forge fast expansion, no, not going for a forge fast expansion, going for a gateway instead. Okay, so the Forge Fast expansion has not been that popular after roaches have been upgraded to a range of 4. So that no longer really works out well against a Zerg player. So the Zerg player normally has an economic advantage throughout much of the game against a Protoss, as those Protoss units are simply, and the early Zealots are taken down quickly by Zerglings, and it is very easy for the Zerg player to just produce a lot of Zerglings in the early game and then upgrade the Banelings if needed, if there are too many Zealots to handle. Back here, we now see another pylon currently being warped, and we should be getting the cybernetics core perhaps right here, and then one zealot can be positioned in that location right there. There we go. No, there's a cybernetics core. So what it's going to be is it's going to be positioned right in this location here. So Socke, obviously knowing this front door ramp, knowing where exactly he needs to place these buildings in order to make sure that there are no additional Zerglings that are able to run by a probe. Now walking back up this ramp, he was trying to deny a hatchery that wasn't coming anytime soon. So back here we now see the extractor currently with nothing in there, so no drones on gas. What this normally means is that he's trying to get, or he's obviously trying to get more minerals in order to set up this hatchery now. And now as this drone makes its way over, it's going to start pecking away, but these Zerglings are now going to be able to come in as well, and those Zerglings will be able to finish off that one drone very, very easily. So probe harassment to deny a hatchery doesn't work against Morrow, as we've seen in the game on Lost Temple and the game here. We now see a pylon currently warping in here with a zealot. So yes, that zealot will be able to just handle Zerglings in a single file line. A sentry also being warped in as well. So Socke will be able to hold off this early just scouting force of Zerglings. Those Zerglings will not be able to walk up this ramp and not see the critical 2 gas that Socke is currently mining from. So trying to go for 2 gas, he may be going for another Zealot Sentry build. Zealot Sentry build works out very, very well, as Zealots obviously take no gas, and Sentries are so gas intensive that, but not that much mineral intensive, that it just balances out the army very easily. Force fields work to the advantage of a zealot, as the zealot is able to keep units within melee range. Also, you can push other units away with those force fields, and then guardian shields to protect against any claws from queens or any roach damage as well, even though guardian shield is not nearly as effective against roaches as they are against marines. Back here you can see 2 sentries, and I like this play by Socke. Socke getting these 2 sentries early and now training up a 3rd sentry means that he will be able to get a large amount of minerals. While spending his gas. This allows him to get an additional gateway and a nexus as well, so he's able to expand while continuing to produce units. So it's a very, very solid build here, as we are now getting zealots and sentries down here on that low ground. Those sentries with those guardian shields and those force fields will be able to stop many swarms of Zerglings. We are now going into a roach warren for Morrow, and also going into tier 2, so it may be Hydra Roach at some point. Hydra Roach, a very, very strong combination, as the Roach range plus the Hydraless damage DPS. The Roaches are in the front acting as a meat shield, as they have more hit points and more armor than those Hydraless counterparts. Back over here you now see a Roach Warren nearing completion, and now between these 2 hatcheries have 4 larvae, and those spawn larvae will quickly come to completion. So we will quickly have 11 larvae now back down to 10 as these queens continue to just spawn larvae and trying to get more and more and increase that production. Back over here, another pylon being warped in to make sure that there is no, that there are no units trying to break down this backdoor just quite yet. And now we're going into a Phoenix. So Socke now going into a Phoenix with that Stargate, and obviously now trying to just, I guess, get multiple Phoenixes. Perhaps we'll be able to start hunting some Overlords. Overlords obviously supply food and are very, very vital units to the Zerg army. Phoenixes do move very quickly, are able to attack, move, and shoot down many Overlords, even though they are not light units. Overlords have relatively low hit points, 200 hit points compared to the 400 hit points of a pylon or the 400 hit points of a supply depot. Back here, Socke continuing just getting a stronger macro game, and both sides just sitting in their bases, just ready to macro up a very large army. No one wanting to expand too quickly, as they realize that if they expand too quickly, they are going to fall behind. And this game just seems much longer than it just seems like it should be much further into the game already. We are now 9 minutes into the game. We have Stargates, robotics facilities currently being warped in, double robotics facilities. I like this move also by Socke. Socke getting those robotics facilities after an Overseer was in the base. So now Socke may quickly be able to change into Colossi or perhaps even Roaches. Or sorry, Immortals to counter those Roaches. We now see a couple Queens coming in over here, and now those Phoenixes trying to just dance around back and forth, trying to maintain that distance from those Queens, and also do not want to take any critical damage, only want to have those shield damage. Back over here, 2 Zerglings on the low ground as well as another Phoenix on the move. So 4 Phoenixes will be coming around the map. There are a couple Roaches on the low ground, 2 Queens with a Spore Crawler here, so that 1 Spore Crawler will be able to protect many of those units. And now in comes another transfusion, so nicely done. However, unable to save that 1 Overlord there, as there was not enough energy for a second transfusion. Was almost able to take down one of those Phoenixes in the process. Army-wise, 1,200 for Socke, 700 for Morrow, but we are now going to see a large number of Hydralisks currently being trained, and those Hydralisks are going to become a very strong counter. But this is one of those plays by Protoss players that really frustrates Zerg. By creating Phoenixes, you almost force your opponent to get into Hydralisks, as Hydralisks are the natural counter to Phoenixes, as you're able to mass up Phoenixes much more easily. They deal damage to air and attack quickly and move fast while on creep, which is where most of the harassment happens anyways. But in order to create those, in creating those Hydralisks, if you create too many Hydralisks, what ends up happening is that your opponent, your Protoss player, will start training Colossi. So you now see 2 Colossi now being trained, and we should also be getting the extended thermal lance research. And as he's running off of 4 gas, he will be able to continue to produce multiple Colossi, even if he chrono boosts these robotics facilities, which he's currently not doing. Shame on Socke, as Socke currently almost nearing 100 energy on Nexus. Back over here, there is a Spire up, and now we see the Phoenixes continue to just try to get more and more kills, quickly now pulling back once again. Does not want to lose a Phoenix for a drone, not worth it. That's a very, very, very bad trade, as these Phoenixes are now have outlived their usefulness. And now will we see a Spire? If without a Spire, I believe Morrow was simply going to have to simply going to fall apart to the harassment and the gameplay, and to the harassment of these Colossi. Need to remind myself to get a drink of water after this particular section of the video. We now see 1 Overseer coming in, and the Overseer unable to get sight on these robotics facility. Very, very critical once again, as 2 more Colossi are currently being trained. We do have a Changeling though, and the Changeling now sees everything it needs to see, but is there enough time to respond? We are now getting that robotics facility, 13 Roaches now being trained. We do see a Spire now coming up as well, but the Stalker army already on the attack, already moving out. If they take down these rocks and just walk up this ramp here, they will be able to deal a lot of damage. Corruptors need to be trained up. The Spire is already up, and the 4 Corruptors now being massed up there, as those Colossi with that extended thermal lance range will be able to deal a lot of damage across those Roaches. Roaches do not want to engage there. Stalkers can start dealing damage towards those rocks. And now with so many Colossi are able to just rack up that damage very, very easily. That damage, what, 38 damage times 4, almost enough to take down multiple Hydralisks and Roaches in one fell sweep of these lasers. Spine Crawlers now trying to come up, trying to morph into play. However, they will not be, or only one of them will be completed, but it isn't even able to get off one attack. as these zealots now are coming in. Drones now being moved back over here. We do see that there are multiple hatcheries across the map by Morrow, so Morrow will be able to continue to macro up, but he may lose his layer, and if he loses this layer, he will have to start over trying to upgrade from a hatchery. And now if he takes down the spawning pool as well, that would really just take down just delay much of the economic game. Those phoenixes are soaking up much of the damage that are meant for those colossi. Nicely done. So those phoenixes once again providing to be useful as those stalkers are able to finish off that battle. You can see the roach warren and the spawning pool now getting taken down as well, and things are not looking good. Morrow will, I believe, will be forced to say GG, as he is not even upgrading the tier 2 anywhere just quite yet. No, not upgrading the tier 2, so now he is unable to build any more Hydralistan. He is not even able to build a roach warren, as he does not have a spawning pool. So with 6 colossi, I believe this is a critical mass on colossi with the extended thermal lance range. You can see these units trying to come in, and you can see how much damage will be dealt so quickly. Corruptor's now trying to come in as well, trying to focus fire onto one colossus. However, that colossus in the back of that group there, another group of Corruptors now trying to come in, and now that Colossus pulling back very, very smartly. Zealots, Sentries, and Stalkers continue to move out and just simply able to attack, move with this very, very impressive army. The Spire now completed. Are we going to get more Corruptors? Roaches also being added to this army. Once again, we now see Corruptors just getting shot out of the sky. Roaches trying to come in and try to flank, but not enough. In comes a Force Field, in comes a Guardian Shield. And this is going to be a very, very dangerous situation. Those Corruptors need to take down these Colossi, but those Colossi are very, very far back, allowing those Stalkers to just rack up that damage. And there you go, the Corruptors, only one Corruptor left in this army. You can see that the army is just not simply able to catch up. Socke, I believe, will be forced to say GG. No, sorry, Morrow will be forced to say GG, as these Colossi are able to start swiping away on these units here. And now Overlords, Drones, Zealots just simply able to attack, move. So many Colossi, and Morrow says GG. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Socke and Morrow here on Shakuras Plateau. I still have more games to cast in the series. I don't know if it was a best of 3, best of 5, best of, I don't know, 9. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. Stay tuned for the third game.